Hi, guys, and welcome to the Dead by Tomorrow podcast. My name is Daniel Winter, and my co host is Andrew Monroe. In each episode, Andrew and I will explore topics that you should think about before you die. We encourage you to remember that some tomorrow will be your last, so each day could be your final chance to really live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dead by Tomorrow. We are, as always, thrilled to have you listening in or watching if you're one of our two YouTube viewers. I'm pretty sure that's just me with two different accounts, but maybe YouTube's smarter than me. So we have the Summer Games finale update for you guys, the end of our 5th challenge for the year, and the start of our next challenge, the kind of 6th/July challenge. We almost had it every month, but we have some overlap, so it's kind of pushed out. So not quite 7 for 7, but here we are. Daniel, I always introduce the challenge. Do you want to introduce the new challenge and then we hop into Summer Games?
Oh, I just want to talk about the Summer Games. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to avoid the pain that is loss for you.
Fine, we'll save the second challenge or the new challenge for the end of the episode, and we'll go straight in to this painful, awful conclusion to the Summer Games. Go ahead. Let's hear what you have to say.
You know, what I'll say is that it ended up being closer than I expected.
Wow. That's some pity I wasn't ready for. That hurts.
We joked about tiebreakers, and in my mind, I was thinking the whole time, like, we won't have to do a tiebreaker. We'll have an outright win here. Like, week 1, the step challenge, y'all threw your best punch. I felt like you stepped like, I don't know, 500,000 steps or something like that, and it still wasn't enough to overcome the team. And from there, I felt pretty good about it. Like, y'all got push-ups, but I don't know, Colton took drugs that you gave him in order to let him get enough push-ups for y'all to get the win there. But then the mile, y'all just got smoked. Like,
you dominated.
It was not even close. And so coming into pull-ups, I felt pretty good about it. I felt like I was going to get 30 plus. I felt like Brett would probably match whatever I did. And I just felt like, yeah, you and Jason would probably be matched up. And then I was really banking on Jonathan being, hyper competitive and just being able to beat Colton. So I really thought I was going to finish, but y'all got us in the pull-ups.
See, I thought from the get-go, I was like, okay, before we started the whole thing, I was like, we're going to get them on the steps because that's something that's just dedication-oriented, and I just couldn't imagine I was going to let y'all win steps. I thought I could just take it by myself. And then y'all got us on steps, which really hurt. And I was almost positive we were going to win the push-ups and the pull-ups, so I was pretty confident a tiebreaker was going to happen. But, I actually did worse on the pull-ups than I expected to do. But Brett was just a monster.
Yeah.
That's what it...
Yeah, I'm still a little sad that I didn't ultimately match him. So I ended up with 31. Brett ended up with 33. My intent was that 31 that I posted, I think was on Monday, maybe. It was pretty early in the week. And so my intent was to do a max, rest essentially day, do a max the next day. But what happened in between then is the deck boards that I've been waiting for literally like 2 or 3 months finally showed up. And so I spent all of my spare time lugging around boards in 100-degree summer heat, which did not lead to a lot of recovery. So I ended up not really adding to my total. I tried the very last day after playing a pro frisbee game, came home after the match, went in my garage, tried to see if I could bust out 33 pull-ups, only got 29. So, yep, y'all got us there, Brett. Brett is a beast. Kudos to him.
How many did we actually beat you guys from? Because I didn't see Jason's numbers in there. Jason got 12, right?
He got 11, but 11. I think the think the real number actually ended up being 6 after we talked to him a little bit and just clarified some of the finer rules.
Oh. Well, still, I think we only beat you by just a couple pull-ups, so it wasn't
13.
a thrashing. Well, that's with Jason getting 0, I think.
I don't think so.
Huh. Well,
13.
I'm not the one to trust at math, so we'll go with 13. We thrashed you. So, and everybody that is listening is probably like, well, that sure sounds like a tie. So I guess we need to go into the tiebreaker.
Yeah, so we talked about a few tiebreaker options. We originally were going to have our commissioner, Michael Miller, give us a tiebreaker option. And the thing that he threw out there, I was all for. I think you were all for. The rest of the group responded with a variety of hell no gifts. So his suggestion was that the fastest team to complete a One Punch Man workout would be the winner. And so it's not that crazy of a workout. I think it's 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10K run. Is that what it is?
I believe that is correct. Yes.
Yeah. So again, nothing too ridiculous. That was Michael's idea. Everybody shot that down. We also talked about, there were ideas thrown out there of doing like a memory challenge or like a, softball throw, which I get the concept of it kind of changed things up a little bit, but the whole competition had been physical based, fitness based. So felt like we had to really stick with that for our tiebreaker. And so then you and I talked about 2 options that could have been potentially cool. Like either of them would have been cool, I think. So one was doing a Murph relay. So Murph is, you run a mile, you do 300 squats, 200 push-ups, 100 pull-ups, and then run another mile, and you do it for your best possible time. And to truly do it, you're supposed to wear a weighted vest. I've never done it in a weighted vest. Have you ever done it in a weighted vest?
No, I would like to, but I don't get it. Maybe I'm just weaker than I'm willing to accept mentally, but I've got a weighted vest, and just running a mile on like a 25-pound vest is awful. And then pull-ups, I mean, get out of here. I could maybe do some push-ups. The squats always get me because I always think going in that's going to be the easiest thing because it's just air squats and they destroy me every time. So I can't imagine what a vest would do to me. I am just convinced that there's something going on. My only thing is CrossFit and their weird kipping pull-ups. But like that only explains away maybe one of the events. And yeah, I don't know. I'm too weak, man. So no. I've done like a mini Murph with like a vest. And I think I did like maybe like 100 yards and then a couple pull-ups and a couple push-ups and a couple squats, and that was it. And I was like, I'm done for the day, for the week, really. So no, not even close.
Fair enough. Well, our idea was to make it a relay so that you could switch off team members kind of going throughout the event and still do it for time, which would be really cool. I think to really pull it off, we would all need to be in the same place. And unfortunately, we're not. So we kind of landed with the lowest common denominator, the easiest option, which was to do a plank. And the team who had the longest cumulative time planking would be the winner. And so we could get this episode out, and also because we were kind of creeping into July, we had a strict, you had 1 day to knock it out, which admittedly it's like you just need to carve out in most of y'all's cases 2 minutes,
sub 2 minutes,
carve out a couple minutes, just go do a plank, take a video of yourself and knock it out. So going throughout the day was kind of interesting. I actually didn't get all of my team's submissions until about 10:45 at night, but we got them in. We got it done.
Wow. Yeah, we missed one of them, but it's okay. This was, y'all spanked us. Y'all spanked us at the plank, even if we would have had all 3 of us participating at the plank. but it wouldn't have made a difference. It's just kind of funny looking at it because we talked about we had the 4 challenges, the 4 weeks, or the 4 competitions, I guess you could say, and the 5th tiebreaker, and it was steps. We were stupid close. I mean, I think you guys beat us by a few thousand. But then the push-ups, we didn't, it was still fairly close. There wasn't a blowout. The run, y'all blew us out of the water. That hurt. And then pull-ups, I guess I still think it was pretty close. I think there's something goofy in the math. We'll double check. We'll put in the show notes if I am wrong, and at 13 stands, we'll leave it. But I'm pretty sure that it was only like a 3 to 4 swing on there. So, which Brett being able to get 3 more than you basically gave him 5 extra pull-ups than you got. So 4 extra pull-ups than you got. So that's kind of handy, I guess. Anyways, again, math is tough. I have a headache. We won't go into that route, but I don't think it was very far apart. So really there was only 2 blowouts, and it was you guys on the run and you guys on the plank, and everything else I was really close. So that was kind of interesting. I don't know if it's because me and my team were fatter, or the lack of knees makes us bad at planking. I don't know what it was. It's been 3 days since the plank, and I am still sore. I tried to do some more pull-ups today at the gym, and I had to quit doing pull-ups because my abs were so sore from my 1:45 plank. And I was just like, this is stupid. I am so embarrassed. What has happened to my ab strength?
Well,
so,
if nothing else,
us.
the competition can show the areas that maybe you thought you were doing all right, and maybe the reality is you gotta get back in the gym and focus.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's 100% what take the 2 that y'all blew us out of the water. And I won't speak for Colton or Brett on this, but for me, I was like, okay, if we would have before the challenge said like, okay, Andrew, how are you going to stack up to everybody? I'd be like, oh, generally I can mentally push through a run. I can get my mile time pretty good. And same with the plank and blah, blah, blah. And that would have made theoretical justification on why I should be fine on some of it. And it was really humbling and good for me to, come in and, I hit an 8-minute mile run, and it was rough. It was rough. I had to come to terms with my maker kind of rough. Was this my last day alive kind of rough? So, same with the plank. I was, I finished it up, and I was like, wow, that was not great. 2 minutes used to be like my standard set. Like I do 3 2-minute planks, on my ab days. And I was like, I'm probably not too far from that. And again, 3 days later, I had to quit pull-ups today because my abs hurt so bad just holding myself while I was doing a pull-up, which that's never happened before. So it was definitely a good experience for me, just on showing some weaknesses that I've been letting slide that I definitely need to work on. What about you, though? Was there anything that popped up that you're like, obviously you ran fast, but like, was it as fast as you wanted? Or, on the pull-ups, you've been keeping up with Brett for the most part. He beat you out on a couple, whatever it is. Like, was there anything that you're like, I wish I would have tried harder on that? Or, I noticed that this really affected me long-term afterwards. Anything that you are looking forward to shoring up?
Well, I probably won't revisit maxes in any of these. Like, I wish that I had run my mile in under 6 minutes. Like, boo-hoo, right?
Yeah.
And that may be one as we get into the cooler months, like post Frisbee season, when I'm done with track workouts, I may go back, revisit that one, see if I could do that. And that's one where if I had the time, I think I could have, but I had a tournament that weekend. So I wasn't about to go, kill myself on a mile and then play a tournament in 100-degree weather in Houston the days after that. So that one, like that would have been nice. It would have been nice to beat Brett in either the pull-ups or the push-ups. So Brett got 66 on the push-ups. I got 63. He got 33 on the pull-ups. I got 31. So he beat me by 2 reps in both of those. I feel like if I had done my kind of original plan on pull-ups, I probably could have gotten up to 33, but who knows? So, I mean, it's like friendly competition stuff for me. There wasn't anything where I'm just like, oh, I thought I was in much better shape than I actually was. And this isn't like a brag thing, but it's just, again, it's maintenance is so much easier than trying to make up for ground that has been lost. And I don't know. I was talking to Jonathan about this the other day. I feel like one thing I've been really, really fortunate, really blessed in is I haven't had a major injury. So like I haven't had any point in time where for months and months I like couldn't run, couldn't lift, couldn't do things. I've had like little things here or there, but it's taken me out of commission for like a week or two at a time. So it's just a lot easier to maintain and to, you know, slowly build up to high reps and fast runs and all that kind of stuff.
No, that is something that is so important that I hope a lot of people take away is, you know, choosing lower weight or choosing slower speeds, choosing taking care of your body over the ego lifting or any of that other stuff is so important. You could even bring COVID into it, like COVID, any of the stuff. You're talking 6 to 9 months of recovery if you have that long haul COVID issue, or if you have a knee injury or a groin injury, like from personal experience on the latter two. I mean, it's almost a year before you can get back to where you were. That's not only a year of lost gains, but it's just a year getting back to square one with a lot of effort. So if you can avoid injuries, if you can make sure you're stretching and properly recovering and you're listening to your body, you can last a lot longer and get a lot further than having to hit the reset every couple of years because you hurt yourself and you have to go back to square one and rebuild up and hope to not get injured again. Because once you get that injury, I'm not going to say likelihood, but the chance of re-injury definitely increases dramatically. So,
yeah,
Brett's suffering from that right now. Since I've known him, he spent more time recovering from a knee injury than he's had being able to do anything. It sucks. So
yeah,
it'll definitely mess you up. Definitely take care of yourself and avoid that kind of stuff. And part of that sounds like, hey, be cautious, don't push yourself. I think one of the main reasons you have done so well at avoiding injury is you don't do the spin up like I do, where it's like, oh, kind of sedentary, whatever you want to call it, and then you go hard. You are consistently active, consistently moving. You're not letting your body lapse into any solidified positions, or you're not letting yourself kind of take the easy route in some of these things. I think that's really important for that injury prevention. So don't take this as, hey guys, be easy and don't push yourself. It's push yourself, but put your ease onto the gas. Don't just slam it and then hit the brakes, slam it, hit the brakes.
Right.
Keep the foot on the pedal and keep going. I think that's really, really good for you versus some of the sillier things I do where it's like, hey, let's go play a Frisbee tournament for the first time in 2 years, or, whatever it might be. Let's go from 100 pounds to 300 pounds on squat just because. And that's not something I did, but like people do that kind of thing. Weekend warrior stuff. So definitely something to keep in mind.
Yep. And especially as you get older, it's another thing to keep in mind. Like I kind of laugh. I might have told the story at a podcast in the past, but I was playing a tournament. There's a guy who was really struggling to keep running around, and I was kind of giving him a hard time about it. And he was like, I just turned 30, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm 31. Like, I don't want to hear it. It's about the decisions that you make. It is about, not just kind of letting yourself go and then saying, oh, okay, like I'm going to all of a sudden, I'm going to get back into shape. I'm going to, re-engage. It's, just do the smaller things, even when you're in an off season, to just maintain, and like, don't just don't overindulge in sedentary or eating a ton of junk food or these different types of things. Like listen to your body, figure out the things that when you eat a whole bunch of something that's not good for you, I bet you don't feel good. And if you work on cutting some of that kind of stuff out, like you see gains in other areas too. So
No,
being an
that's
adult,
100%
Andrew.
accurate.
That's what it is.
Well, no, I mean, that's a great example, like the food. That's something I've struggled with where I'm just, I get bored and I'm driving around and I've got 20 minutes. I'm like, well, I can go get some food and that'd make me feel better. And it's easy, but easy and quick is usually fast food. And so instead of preparing and taking care of, being proactive about it, I'm like, hey, I'll just grab some Cane's or grab whatever's nearby. And I grab that food and I eat it. And what you're talking about, listening to your body, like, yes, I want it because our bodies are trained to crave such things. But afterwards, if I'm actually paying attention, and this goes back to a Tim Ferriss podcast, I'll try and remember to link it in the show notes. But if you keep that, like, if you actually sit and think like, hey, how did I feel after I ate that? If you do that after you eat Cane's, you feel like trash. Like, it's not even just like a mental, like, oh man, I ate bad food. It's like, you don't feel good. At least I don't. And I think most people in the same way, when you have that super fried, saturated fat, bucket of grease go down you, your body kind of rebels. It's like, hey, that was not cool. Usually we're not paying attention though. Most of us are thinking about what's next, hey, I ate my food, I've got to go back to work, or what's next on my list, or whatever it is, and you're not paying attention to what your body's saying. Same with the injuries. If you have bad knees, it's not that you have bad knees. It's your body's saying like, hey, I'm compromised. We need to take care of this. And instead, most of us go, it hurts, but it doesn't hurt that bad. And you keep pushing, and then you hurt yourself. If you pay attention and listen to your body, you can usually do the right thing, either in diet or in exercise. So definitely listen to your body. It's something I'm working on still. It's hard. It is a challenging shift in perspective to make for most of us, because most of us don't do that on a regular basis. We're not very present with what our body's trying to tell us. So I get it, but highly recommend doing what Daniel's talking about. All right, let's get off our pedestal here. And well, before I just force it, is there anything else you want to talk about on the challenge? Are you ready to hop off the pedestal and jump into challenge number 2 for this episode? It's actually challenge number 6.
Yeah. I'm ready. I'm gonna wear my Thunderclap t-shirt the first time that I see you, for sure.
I'll be wearing my Team Hush t-shirt. I am proud of how we did. I'm proud of how I did. I'm proud of Colton and Brett. I think we could have avoided the tiebreaker and beaten you guys if luck was more on our side that first week for the step challenge. I know Colton had a rough start of it. I think if he would have taken it, we wouldn't be having this conversation about planks. We'd be talking about the 3-1 skunk we would have done. So you guys got lucky.
Oh, it's fine. Wear your Hush shirt with pride. I'll wear my Thunderclap shirt, and we'll do our Child Leia chase, and I'll show you just how silly the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan truly were.
Oh, don't even go there. Don't even go there. I will come over there and Darth Maul you.
No, remember, you're little Child Leia in this scenario, so.
You know what? Done. It's happening. We'll see how this goes. You're going to end up with a broken pride or something. Or skull. I don't know which. All right. Enough threats. We don't want people to think we're that violent. Even though we might be. Challenge number 6, our July challenge for you and me, at least. We don't have a group on this one. Language learning. This is something we've talked about before. I'm surprised that, I guess I'm just surprised we haven't done this yet, and that it hasn't been a more consistent thing in general. Because I haven't really worked on language skills in a while, and that's honestly something I really believe people should do. So when was the last time you worked on Spanish, I assume? And let me take a shot in the dark before you answer that. I think we're both going to be working on Spanish for July. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure. I actually, up until middle of June, was rocking a 200 something day streak on Duolingo in Spanish.
Whoa,
So I've
nice
been fairly
job.
current.
Wait, you're beating me by a few hundred days there.
The streak has ended. I haven't been consistent since the middle of June, but I was on a good streak there for sure.
So let's talk about that then, because I think that is the consistency is important. It's something that I've failed at regularly for decades now. And let's give some background, and then we're going to go to the consistency thing I want to talk about. So, I have a background in learning Spanish on and off since elementary school all the way through freshman year of high school, where I took my last Spanish course, and then I have a minor in Japanese. So I did language learning all through college, study abroad. I've dipped my foot pretty heavily into that pond, but no way have I been even close to fluent in Spanish or Japanese. Japanese, I got kind of close to being pretty decently conversational in like a childlike manner. But Spanish, I just hasn't been pushed hard enough from my end to actually count for much. So you did Latin in middle school, but I don't think you did much beyond that, right?
Yeah, Latin in high school. I don't think we did languages in middle school that I remember.
I was definitely in Spanish for 3 years in middle school.
Oh, I did no such thing. I was just in English. I don't know how I got out of that, but yeah, I did Latin in high school and no languages in college, and have just kind of done Duolingo basically since then.
Okay. So consistency then, because again, I think that's important. You had a 200-day streak, which is 200 plus day streak, which is honestly pretty amazing. What ended it? What was your stepping stone, stumbling block, I guess is a better way to put it, that knocked you off the streak? And now that we are July 5th as of this recording, what happened? Why did you break, and why didn't you get back on the horse?
Well, it was going to Glacier National Park in Montana that broke it, because there's no cell service in a huge chunk of that park. So I was not on my phone a whole lot. So that broke the streak. I tried the first day to like sneak it in whenever we were sort of in town, but I don't know. It wasn't as much as I valued the streak, it wasn't enough where I wanted to like sit in the back of the car with Hillary while Brett and Angela are driving, and I'm like over here talking Spanish to myself. So that broke the streak. I haven't hopped back on it yet, because I have been just really focused on building this deck. So it's not a great excuse, because I obviously can't go out and work on the deck whenever it's dark outside. It's not consuming every waking hour. And I haven't like totally fallen off. I just haven't gotten back into a streak yet. Like I did a few lessons today, so it's not like complete failure.
I got you. Okay, so you have gotten back on the horse a little bit.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, that's something that I struggle with. So I think that's something we all struggle with. Maintaining the streak is one thing, but once you break it, being able to be like, hey, it's okay, I can get back on it it's really difficult to kick back over to it. It's just human nature.
I feel like you usually need some sort of, I don't know, milestone moment or something like that. So that's where I was glad for us to do this challenge, because I think that'll kind of kickstart again, getting back onto the horse, so to speak. I don't remember what it was that, roughly 200 days ago from June really set my mind of, okay, I'm going to really stick with this. There was something though. I don't remember what it was, but I know there was some moment where I was like, I really want to be consistent with this. And the thing that helps me to be consistent, besides having a specific goal, is just using reminders in my phone. And I've talked to Hillary about this before. I think when it comes to building habits and some of these kind of things, I feel like people can go a little over the top and get a little bit crazy, and you all of a sudden have this habit tracker that has like, I don't know, 15 things every day. And it's like all this rotating stuff, and it's just kind of exhausting. And my approach is, whenever it comes to daily to-do lists of either habits I'm trying to build or just things that I want to make sure I get done for the day, I definitely don't make my list longer than 10. And I try to space things out, and I just try to be real myself. So I'll put things on there as simple as shave my face, do Spanish, water the yard, like read some scripture. So I put pretty basic things on there, but it just helps me to stay on top of it and to not let my mind get consumed with, oh, there's this thing that I wanted to make sure I get done today. Like, I don't know, it just kind of frees up my headspace.
That's interesting. So this is, from what you're saying, the way you're saying it, I'd say we heavily diverge on this front. But the part where you're talking about like only putting like, up to 10 things is pretty similar. I have a overly, maybe not overly complicated, but I have a pretty in-depth Airtable that I use for tracking all of that kind of stuff. But it probably doesn't have, depending on how you slice it, more than 6 or 7 things. So on the daily, like, so the Spanish would be one that if I was, when I made the Airtable back in January, had been working towards Spanish, that would have been one of my daily tasks I would have put into it. Right now, let me see, it's got walking the dog. It has working out, which I've got actually 3 different workout columns, which shows where my priorities are. So I've got a stretching column. If that's not one, I've got a cardio column, and then I've got a weightlifting column. And I don't have to hit all 3 of them. Obviously, it's just like, hey, did I do one of these 3 things today? I've got a protein column, make sure I'm trying to hit protein goals. I've got a mindfulness column and a gratitude column where it's like, hey, did you do your gratitude journal today? So it's like little stuff like that. And then each day I also have like a to-do list, and it's only 2, I think I have 3 or 4 blanks for it, and I don't always fill all 4. It's sometimes just 2 or 3 things. I'm like, hey, I need to work on this website today. I need to, publish the podcast today. I need to go hang a TV at so-and-so's house, something like that. So it's little stuff like that. So mine's just in a giant database because I'm into that kind of thing. So I do think, though, having something built in where it's like, hey, every day I'm going to do this is really important, whatever it is. And it doesn't have to get complicated. You can do it in a pen and paper. I'm a huge fan of Airtable. Apparently a lot of people like Notion, which is something we're going to be playing with at some point. But having a tool, whether it be pen and paper or on the computer, I think is really important, complicated or not.
Yeah. My personal advice, both doing complicated and not complicated, is do something that tends to be more simple, at least until you kind of get the hang of simple, and then you can get a little more complicated. Because, I mean, at least for me, the end goal is to form a habit to where I don't necessarily even need that reminder anymore. Like it's just becomes a part of my life and what I'm going about and doing every day. So,
well, and that is a great way to look at it. And that's how a lot of people should be approaching any kind of habit change you're looking for. And I'm almost positive I'm stealing something from Atomic Habits here that I just think is my own original thought now. But having a diet, having an exercise regime, having, Spanish as part of your daily practice, these aren't things that you say like, hey, I'm going to do this until my trip in Spain and then be done. Like, if you're going to pursue something, unless there really is like an end goal, like, hey, I need to run a marathon because I promised this person to run a marathon with them, so I've got to work on running every day with this person. That kind of end date kind of makes sense, but maybe you shouldn't even agree to the marathon if it's not going to be kind of a longer term, part of who you are. Whenever you're choosing these kind of habits you're looking at, kind of like these challenges we're doing, it's something to really think about and say, hey, is this something that I want to do every day or every other day? Or is this something that I'm doing just a little sprint of and it doesn't actually necessarily move me forward. If I'm going to have this really exclusionary diet, it's why you relapse on diets, is why the regain of weight whenever people do these extreme diets is so high, because they aren't taking into account that it's a lifestyle change they're going for. They're doing a really kind of quick fix. You can't just hit Spanish for 2 months and be like, hey, I'm done. I now speak Spanish. So really recognizing that the things you want to be doing need to be long-term. Walking the dog. My dog Jasper should live for a number of years, probably at least 10, maybe longer. Walking him is going to be a part of my daily life for 10 years. That's okay for me to kind of make a goal of, but at the same time, at some point, it really should just become part of the routine. Same with the Spanish. I would love for it to become part of the routine where every day at, 10 a.m., I'm knocking out 15 minutes on Duolingo, or in this case, Babbel. So I like that. I know I really went off the rails there on your little comment, but hey, that's what we have a podcast for.
Yeah.
All right, real quick before we wrap this bad boy up, I assume you're going to keep using Duolingo. Is that correct?
That is the plan.
Anything else that you're going to be doing to check in on this challenge? Any tips for anybody jumping in with us? Anything you want to share?
I mean, the reality is if we're going to really learn a language, you got to find some immersion opportunity. And so I'd love for that to be the case. I don't know where that opportunity will come up. There is a lady that I go to church with that we sometimes have over for dinner that she is bilingual. She's a abuela. She's a Spanish grandmother. So she would probably talk to me in
so
Spanish.
Jealous.
So I may take advantage of, whenever I'm picking her up for church or whatever, trying to say hey, can we speak in Spanish a little bit? And she can just laugh at me and say no, that's not how you say that. So there's that. I think, doing Duolingo, maybe I may have a couple other goals of okay, I'm going to try to watch a telenovela and see how well I can follow along with the plot, or I don't know, go to a Spanish website and order myself some food using their website, which I could probably do even if I didn't know the language, just using buttons and stuff like that. So maybe a better challenge would be going to a really Spanish Mexican restaurant and trying to order in Spanish. You got any little stretch goals for yourself?
Not necessarily. I hadn't thought too far on the stretch goals. I am going to be using a new program, and I actually got it months ago just on the fly. It's called Babbel. Had some really good reviews. I am a marketer's wet dream, and I love things that get marketed to me more than 3 times. I'm like, oh, all of a sudden this is now right. I should buy this. So Babbel was one of those ones that enough different points of interest showed up on the Babbel, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go download that. So I downloaded it. It was like, hey, you want premium for the year for $10? And I was like, yeah, why not? So I'm gonna try and use Babbel, and mostly I'm just going to try and focus on driving up that word count. So I'll try and get, I assume there's going to be some kind of test at the beginning for placement on hey, where do you start? So I'm hoping to get, I'm not really sure, X number of words per day. I'll probably try and figure out what seems reasonable, Google it maybe and see how many, maybe 5 words a day. Man, it's not a ton. 30 days, 150 words. We'll see. I think that could be good, especially if I get the grammar. Obviously, the grammar is the hard part on any language. So I'm really just going to try and make sure that I'm consistently improving, don't have any dead days, don't have any breaks in the streak, and really try and grind out, 15 minutes plus every day of the Babbel. And if it doesn't work out, swap back to Duolingo and see where that takes me. Maybe at the end of it, I'll run away to Mexico and try and fit in. So we'll see, but we'll have an Airtable up once we figure out how to track this better. So by the time this episode's out, we may or may not have the Airtable up and some cool charts for you guys to see Daniel and my growth on Spanish for July. And if you want to hop in, we are always thrilled to have people in. If you already speak Spanish, all the better you can help us out and practice with us. But all right, guys, thank you guys for tuning in, and we're excited about this one. It's going to be fun. This is something Daniel and I have done on and off, so this will be a nice change of pace from the exceptional number of push-ups and pull-ups I was doing this last month, which is still probably going to keep happening, so it's not like anything's going to change on there, but oh well. So anyways, before I put us all to sleep, thank you guys, and we look forward to connecting with y'all soon.